Now, have you ever tried combining OneNote with that of Whiteboard and OneDrive? Say hello to some new app that's going to be coming up soon on Microsoft, and this app is known as Keeping You on the Loop. I'm just kidding. It's actually called Loop, and this here, the goal, of course, according to the ad here, says that it is to think, plan and create together. And so the keyword here is together. Collaborative settings where you'll be working with a group of people either in your businesses or maybe outside your workspace, and you've been able to take advantage of all the other apps that are in this particular synchronous system, which is the Microsoft Word, and also being able to maybe in some ways integrate other apps from other platforms here by sharing ideas, thinking about ways by which you as a group can be able to serve a specific space. And so we're going to look at what the details is and how maybe AI can help to enhance the product in here by Microsoft. So let's begin. Is a common space where all your teammates will be working together for you to prevent jumping from one space of an app to a different app just to retrieve ideas or information, or also limiting creativity. And so the idea of this, hopefully with the use of the AI, is to looking at the discussions that your group are having. Hopefully the Copilot, according to what Microsoft is going to be offering us very soon, recognizes the pattern between conversations that are made in this case, Microsoft Teams, and retrieve a couple of data or files that are already created, or you can create those files and share it with other people. It's almost like saying that you're sharing a Google Drive, but not really, because in here this is going to be a common space where everyone in live settings can be able to take advantage of this tool. So that is the component that I think this is actually heading into. Now, looking at the setup of this app, on the left side, you're going to have a lot of sections, like for example, pages. According to here, it says workspaces, and also components that your team can be able to grab and put it into the main canvas. The whiteboard that we are currently using on Microsoft, maybe that might not be the new way by which you can be integrated or sharing ideas. Definitely can be a backbone use whiteboard in terms of just having a conversation there, putting in ideas, sharing different links in there, or maybe putting some nice reactions in there. But then when it comes to now going into Loop, that can be a one-stop shop where all those conversations, all those creativity are structured, and you can play around with all of them on the main canvas. So this is really going to be exciting to see that next step in terms of productivity in the workspace. Now, in addition, when you're entering into the app, you're going to have a workspace where there are various classes of products that you may be involved in with other groups. And so in here, if you want to create something new, you can click on the plus sign, and by so doing you can be able to create something new, add people in, and also being able to put in your own files and maybe create categories on the next page on the left side. By so doing, you're ready to go. This can actually be a nice step into your teams. You guys can create from there a whiteboard, and all those stuff are all set up as you go in terms of meetings, and that will help definitely in terms of being able to maximize that space for organization purposes. Now, some of you might be asking, why are we going to be using OneNote where we're going to be having Loop? The goal of OneNote basically is just to create a store of information where you can create, let's say for example, different files like books or notes or planning stages stuff, but that is not a space where everyone can collaborate at the same time when it comes to sharing files from other groups of people. So it's kind of tedious. Definitely it can be done on OneNote, however it's not as synchronous or as fluid as Loop offers. So it's going to be interesting to see the differences between those two and figuring out whether OneNote is a better alternative to this Loop or Loop is better than OneNote. So I'm curious to see what Loop has to offer in terms of maximizing the organization part of your files, specifically in terms of group settings and integrating other apps in there from different groups of people in one space enough for collaboration to be efficient. Even looking at the interface looks familiar to Whiteboard, where on the left side you have all the categories, but Whiteboard doesn't offer more in terms of the structure of your files. However, for Loop, that structure, categories of files, is a big game changer in terms of stepping it up and moving it to the next level. And so I'm going to be seeing how that's going to be a maybe tragedy for Whiteboard use, because I do love using Whiteboard in terms of just using my pen and writing stuff on it and just putting my ideas in there when it comes to group settings and also sticky notes and all that fun stuff. But now going into Loop, do we really need to be using Whiteboard? We're going to see whether Loop might actually provide accessibility in terms of having that free handwriting. If that is going to be integrated in Loop, then honestly, I don't think I'll be using Whiteboard in terms of doing collaboration in real time with other groups of people. Whiteboard will just be something more of an instructional part of my presentation in terms of working in the classroom as a teacher and showing students how some things are done. Now, in terms of maximizing conversations, this is actually a nice space where conversations involving chat, instead of someone trying to put in the chat box on Teams various ideas, this can be a nice step up in terms of putting conversations in a space, in this particular Loop space, so that for reference purposes, you can go back there and look at the conversations and maybe any key point that you may have had a conversation with in the chat. That can be a nice recording space for you to go back, retrieve that particular big point and use that information to maximize your productivity. So I'm really curious to see how this is going to enhance that productivity based on saving conversation chats on Loop. Yeah, I know I'm not a huge emoji fan, so I don't think I'll be using that much when it comes to having conversations with groups of people in a professional setting. Well, maybe I can just put like, yes, thumbs up, great job, or a little clap here and there just to show my support. And it's going to be nice to see how that can be adapted into this workspace. With that, incentivize people to use it more or not at all, or maybe the use of GIFs. That would be funny to see how that plays out. Loop also has notification bell that's at the top left corner of the screen. So by that way, if someone adds in a new file, you can actually see that as a notification, and it could be distracting while people are actually working, but it could also be a nice way for everyone to know that, hey, a product is newly introduced in here, check it out and maybe see how it goes. Will this be synced into your phone? Will there be a phone app for Loop in terms of you getting notifications here and there? Maybe that can be something that may be a next step plan in terms of Microsoft being able to have this accessible on mobile devices. Now, with the big announcement of Copilot, this is going to be fascinating to see how that can help you to co-create and co-plan various project or get that ready in terms of Copilot giving you a little bit of a breakdown of what are the things that you hope to accomplish in meetings, and Copilot helping you to retrieve some files that might be helpful for that group interaction on Loop. And so according to the 4 categories, it says that Loop is going to offer hopefully a creating space also for brainstorming purposes, that of a blueprint, or you can have a description for the Copilot to produce for you. So it's going to be interesting to see how that can enhance, can also incentivize people to join and try using the platform for that particular purpose. Now there's a new feature here which is loop component, and loop component allows you to share ideas with other people that are outside of your platform. In this case, maybe on Google Drive or on Google Mail or any other mail sites, so that by that way people can also join in into it without being a member of the Outlook email list right there. So going to be fascinating to see how that is synced into other platforms based on sharing ideas, and that will be helpful for you to diversify your portfolio in terms of the interactions that you have with other people. And the big point here is staying in sync, because one time when you're editing something on one particular space, like for example on Microsoft Word, and then you might be wondering, would that be changed or updated on your loop? And so with the help of the notification and component, this can help to update the system so that everything is up to date and everyone is aware of any updates that are made on either one or many different features or categories on your loop. And so it seems that loop is going to be integrated into the Outlook of your mailing list. So if you want to share any ideas, just click on the loop icon on your Outlook and put in the specific details, ideas, recommendations, categories, and files that you think might be helpful for your team to be able to have access in that one loop space. So that's going to be interesting to see how that can be capitalized in the workspace and also in any other platforms that you might be going to be using for you to enhance your team productivity here on Microsoft. So I'm curious to see the future of this. Will other pre-existing type of interface be able to take advantage like this, or will this dominate this particular space of productivity? Let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this. See you all on the next one. Stay smart as always and believe in yourselves.